once again, live again, folks. Good evening and welcome to Friday Night Tech Talk. This is the Saturday edition. This is the second week in a row that we've had a Saturday edition, but next week we go back to our normal Friday nights. So, if you're new here, we get together at this time every week, usually Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And I picked some articles that I think might be interesting to other people who are as interested in tech like I am. And if there's a big presentation that week, I try to find a story about that. This week, I don't think there was anything huge. So I just try to find articles that I think you might find interesting and you won't see everywhere else. And Eleanor's the first one in. Glad you're here. I knew you had to get up early. I thought you wouldn't make it. Thank you for making it. So she's got to work very early tomorrow, so I didn't expect it, so that was a nice surprise. So, as I said, we do this every week. I pick articles that I think you might find interesting and that you haven't seen everywhere else. So that's what I usually try to do. And if you're new here, as I say every week, please type something in the comments and let us know where you're from. And for the entire show, feel free to comment on any subject we bring up or any subject you may want to bring up, and we'll try to discuss it in the comments. So far, Eleanor's the only one that's popped in. Keep in mind, it is a little unusual. It's our second week having it on a Saturday. But as I said, next week we're back to Friday. So, as usual, if you click on the QR code here, that will take you to the show notes just for tonight's show on my webpage. And as I do every week, I will show you that so you can take a look at the show notes. Now, of course, you can go to the website and follow along in the show notes. If you go to mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, just click on today's date. You'll get only the show notes for tonight's show. And as I always do, I'll give you a little preview of what we're going to go through. It won't be long unless, it'll be short unless Ted or Will happen to come in. I haven't heard from either. So, of course, Ted is an hour behind me in Dallas, so it's 9 p.m. for me, it's 8 p.m. for him, so he might still be out and about. So let's go through our little preview of what we're going to talk about here. So I started with, we've all been waiting forever for the Siri update, and now that Apple has the deal with Google Gemini, they're supposed to get it together, and so now we've got a nice, happy article saying that in a couple of weeks we might actually see some Siri AI. But I followed it up with another article. I think it's 3 days. We'll check the dates. I think it was 3 days apart. I just said, not so fast. Seems like Siri will always embarrass Apple again. And that's where we are with that. So we'll go over that. Then I said, Galaxy Unpacked, we have a solid date. So Samsung actually told us when the Unpacked event will be, which will be February 25th. So we've only got a week and a half to go. So a week from next Wednesday. So we'll see all the new Galaxy phones, or the S26s at least. After that, I just happened to run into this article. Now, keep in mind, Eleanor and I have been on T-Mobile for 12 years, maybe going on 13 years, and very happy with it. But T-Mobile is pushing hard to try to, first of all, they're trying to get everybody onto the app, and I don't think they want any stores at all. But since they do have stores, I said it seems like T-Mobile wants store reps to be a lot more pushy. It's just a story I found about them getting chided for not getting customers to apply for T-Mobile credit cards. So really, really pushy. Glad I don't work for them. And then we're going to follow that up I just said Johnny Ive may have moved from Apple to work with OpenAI, but he'll still have to deal with a delayed product. But this time it's his, in other words, his product that's going to be delayed. So we were supposed to see there whatever the physical product they're supposed to come out with. Well, it was supposed to come out this year. Well, no, now it's going to come out next year. So he may have moved away from Apple, but he's still dealing with delays. I just thought that was interesting. And finally, this story is actually a couple of weeks old, but I hadn't put it up. Apple considering a flip phone in addition to the iPhone Fold. And you know, we've had all this excitement about everybody expecting the iPhone Fold, the full-size Fold, this year. Well, now they're talking about having a flip phone in addition to that. But that's still a little bit away, but just interesting. So that'll be all the stories we'll go through. So nothing else new in the comments. So let me get back to that first story. Let me adjust this view. Okay. So, good news from Apple on the Siri front, Tom's Guide. I'm going to start with that story and then the disappointing story right behind it. Now, check the date. This is from February 9th, so only 5 days ago. It says a whole new brain for your iPhone may arrive in 2 weeks from the 9th. Discover how Siri 2.0 will change your daily life. Once again, the big promise with Siri. By Richard Purday. Your 2-week notice of Siri getting a massive update. So 2 weeks from February 9th, they expect the beta, at least, to have the new Siri based on Google Gemini. So that was the good news that came out. So it's into reader view, get rid of the ads. Sounds like Siri 2.0's debut could be only a couple of weeks away from launching in an upcoming iOS update, although most users will be waiting longer to try the features because that's a beta. Let's see. Somebody else. Sharkfin's in here. How's it going? Nice to see Saturday Night Stream footage. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you were able to tune in. Yes, this is my second week in a row doing Saturday. Next week, we go back to Friday, but thanks for being here. All right, back to our story. Mark Gurman of Bloomberg, who almost never gets anything wrong with Apple, a man with established inside knowledge of Apple's activities, claims in his latest newsletter that the revamped version of Apple's familiar digital assistant will debut in iOS 26.4 as previously rumored. More specifically, it will be made available in the developer beta build, which will arrive on February 23rd, so 2 weeks from the date that this was written, on the 9th. This update is expected to contain long-promised features, for Siri, such as it being able to access and control key apps like your messages, calendar appointments, and photos, and respond to context-sensitive queries about the contents of those apps. However, Gurman explains that the rumored chatbot functionality coming to Siri won't arrive until the next full iPhone update, iOS 27, according to other leaks. So, as this February release is a developer beta, this isn't going to appear on your iPhone unless you're specifically signed up for these updates. And to be frank, we don't recommend doing so unless you're aware of the risk that potentially buggy software could have on the only smartphone you own. So if you only have one phone, don't go with betas. Fortunately, we at Tom's Guide are brave or perhaps foolish, and we'll be installing the iOS 26.4 beta to test the new Siri, and we will share our results and experiences with you so you don't have to put your own device at risk. While it's not clear when the stable version of iOS 26.4 will launch, giving all users with compatible phones access to the new features. However, we can assume from Apple's usual iOS release patterns that the update will be ready by late March or April. That's the normal way things go after the beta. Big promises finally fulfilled. This is the hilarious part, considering what the next story is going to be, which is also put out by Mark Gurman, by the way. Apple put a lot of emphasis on how smart Siri would be thanks to the addition of Apple Intelligence back in its 2024 WWDC conference. But despite advertising these capabilities during the WWDC presentation, and then again in a commercial, that's right, starring Bella Ramsey from The Last of Us, those features haven't yet made it onto any iPhone out in the real world. I think they had to pull that commercial within 2 weeks because they knew they couldn't make it. This has been quite a blow for Apple, as over in the Android world, Google and Gemini have been receiving continuous updates and fresh features for a while now. At the same time, third-party apps like ChatGPT have also shown users how far behind Apple's in-house tech is. Now we gotta go down a little bit because we're in a reader view. Okay. Here we go. Fortunately, with Apple now adopting a Gemini AI model as the basis for Siri, its on-device AI powers should soon be on par with the competition. Don't hold your breath. And while it's perhaps embarrassing for Apple's own AI team to have to rely on Google to help them out, this will hopefully be the best possible option for iPhone users around the world. So let us know if you'll be downloading the new beta and then mark your calendar for February 23rd. Either so you can get installing yourself or you can return to Tom's Guide to hear about what we found. So that's story number one. Now I'm going to give you the follow-up story. Now keep in mind that came out on the 9th. So now I said, this is also on Tom's Guide. I should have put that here. But not so fast. Seems like Siri will always embarrass Apple again. And yes, they are. So, this one's by Scott Yunker, but look at the date. Yesterday. So, from the 9th to the 13th, 4 days, and it changed already. Siri's problematic development continues as Apple reportedly pushes back launch again. By Scott Yunker, updated yesterday, Apple appears to have hit obstacles once more. Well, aren't we all expecting that at this point? The overhauled Siri 2.0 was finally supposed to arrive this spring, but Apple has reportedly delayed that launch again. At this point, it's better to expect a delay, that's for sure, than to believe the update will see the light of day. According to a new report from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, the same guy who's always right about what he predicts for Apple too, Siri has been pushed back after running into snags during testing. You'd think they would do enough of this testing before opening their mouths about it, but they don't seem to do that. And I used to be a developer, so I kind of know how this stuff goes. A good chunk of the overhauled Siri was expected to launch with the forthcoming iOS 26.4 update, which should go live in March. Apple only just released iOS 26.3 this past week, that's true. And I have it on my iPhone 17 right here. Just got it this week, as it said. Gurman claims that Apple ran into issues when testing the software. Then why did they tell us it was coming? That's what I don't get. Which has meant that Apple could split up the revamp over several future iOS updates, including iOS 26.5, which isn't expected to release until May. Don't hold your breath for that, I'd say. What Siri 2.0 features are we supposed to see? Like Google's Gemini, Siri is supposed to allow you to control both Apple and third-party apps using your voice. That's the whole. It seems like Apple wants you to be able to control Siri completely with your voice, but they can't even get it right. New enhancements would have included the ability to recall personal data to do things like find old text messages with links and open them or play video files you've been sent. Apple wants Siri to be a hands-free voice controller for your iPhone with a new framework called App Intents. As an example, you could tell Siri to find the photo, edit it, and then text it to a friend all in one voice command. Wouldn't that be nice? Alternatively, it could potentially log into your apps or services for you. Previous reports suggest Apple was testing this framework in apps like YouTube, AllTrails, and Temu. Gurman reports that Apple is also working on two as yet unannounced features: custom image generation and a new web search feature. Well, at least they were smart enough not to announce it, weren't they? Okay. Let me go down. The web search function would apparently be similar to how Perplexity or Gemini works. It will let you request information from the web and then summarize the response with details and relevant web links. And it works with Gemini beautifully because I use that all the time. The custom image generator is supposed to be based on the same engine as the Image Playground app. Meanwhile, recent reports suggest that Apple is developing a separate chatbot that will eventually replace the current Siri. Well, they have to get the system working first, and act as a true artificial intelligence chatbot. However, Siri 3.0 isn't expected to launch until the end of 2026 at the earliest. Yeah, I wouldn't think it would be this year at all. Campo is supposed to deeply integrate AI across Apple systems, including macOS and iPadOS. It's supposed to be able to control features across the OS and locate personal files in apps like Mail, Calendar, and Safari. Siri 2.0 is sluggish and inaccurate for now. It's been nearly 2 years since Apple first teased and upgraded Siri during WWDC 2024. However, the company has repeatedly run into trouble with the implementation of Apple Intelligence and turning Siri into a true AI-backed voice assistant. Time out for a quick sip of Coke. Pardon me. Siri 2.0 didn't materialize with iOS 18 and was pushed into 2026 in the spring of 2025, when it suddenly was to become a major part of iOS 26. According to Gurman, Siri testers have found the chatbot sluggish, or in some cases, Siri is resorting to using ChatGPT instead of Apple's own technology. Until the Gemini switch, ChatGPT powers the currently available Siri AI features. Additionally, Siri does not appear able to handle complex queries and even cuts off users if they speak too fast. Didn't know that. It may be an issue of integration with Google Gemini, which is supposed to undergird Siri now. Features in Siri appear finicky, and we may not see the full overhaul in May with iOS 26.5. Gee, what a surprise. The launch could also bleed into the launch of iOS 27 when it launches in September. Though Apple is expected to debut the Campo system later this year, which should replace the current version of Siri anyway. And of course, we're not going to hold our breath for any stuff. What's going on? Yeah, that's what we need to ask Apple. What's going on here? Okay. So we had the happy story that, okay, now it's coming in the beta in 2 weeks, and now we've had the story, no, it's not. So same old story for Apple and Siri. And nobody knows when the Siri update is actually coming. So, exactly. All right, on to Galaxy Unpacked. Galaxy Unpacked, we have a solid date. I got this one off Tech Radar. Samsung just set the date for its first Galaxy Unpacked of 2026, and all signs point to the Galaxy S26 with plenty of Galaxy AI. Gee, what a surprise. By Jacob Kroll, published February 10th. Unpacking the next Galaxy. Oh, and as a YouTuber, I actually got an email from them, from Samsung, telling me about the date also. So let's drop this into review and get rid of these ads. After months of rumors and speculation, Samsung has finally locked in the date for its first Galaxy Unpacked event of 2026, and all signs point to the Galaxy S26 lineup. It'll be the first Galaxy Unpacked of 2026 taking place on February 24th, so a week and a half away, at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Uh, Live stream from San Francisco, California. Samsung teases that the event will usher in its latest Galaxy innovations, which we're almost certain points to the Galaxy S26 lineup. Samsung is expected to lead with the ultra premium Galaxy S26 Ultra alongside the Galaxy S26 Plus and standard Galaxy S26. This early year Unpacked event traditionally focuses on Samsung's flagship non-folding Galaxy S smartphone, though the company has occasionally slipped in a surprise like the first formal tease of the Galaxy Ring back in 2024. That's true. If you're hoping for the next Galaxy Z Fold, Z Flip, or especially a new Z Trifold, don't hold out hope. We likely won't see new foldables until summer 2026, and Samsung only just began shipping the Z Trifold in the U.S. last month in January. Also very true. Get in early. Even so, if you're after a fresh candy bar smartphone, the Galaxy S26 lineup is shaping up to be a still impressive, if more iterative, trio of devices. As in past years, Samsung is already letting fans pre-reserve. Yeah, I did my pre-reservation already. You should do yours. It's free anyway. Whatever it announces on February 25th, and it's completely free to do so. You can pre-reserve the next Galaxy on Samsung's site to be entered to win a $5,000 Samsung gift card while also securing an exclusive $30 credit to the devices it unveils. Now, every other year up to now, it's been $50 credit. This year, they cut it back to $30. Which some people think means they're not going to increase the prices of the S26 over the S25. So we'll see. That's a smaller incentive than in years past, but it can be stacked up with up to a $900 trade-in credit depending on the device and Samsung's valuation. Interestingly, I didn't realize this part, Samsung is also offering a $150 credit without a trade-in, seemingly on top of the $30 bonus, if you order directly from the company, which certainly sweetens the deal. Yes, it does. Considering pre-reserving costs nothing and doesn't require a credit card, it's most definitely worth doing, even if you're only mildly interested in the Galaxy S26. Samsung has also teased that similar pre-reserve offers are coming from Best Buy and AT&T, though details haven't been shared just yet. Alongside the invite, Samsung released a short teaser video for Galaxy Unpacked, and it appears the brand is feeling lucky. The invite image shows Samsung's Galaxy AI logo emerging from a clear cube that looks as if it has burst open, casting prismatic hues of blue, pink, and purple that could hint at new colorways for the X26 lineup. Let me drop this out of reader view for a minute to see if that teaser shows up here. Sometimes those things don't show up when I have it in reader view, but I didn't catch it if it is there. No, it's not there. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it. See if I can go back to reader view. Okay. Beyond the Galaxy Unpacked branding date, time, and live stream URL, the image doesn't reveal much. The video teaser adds a bit more flair, showing the Galaxy AI cube rolling across the screen before opening up, with the 4 stars of the Galaxy AI logo taking center stage, reinforcing that Galaxy AI will play a major role in Samsung's next flagship phones. On the hardware side, the Galaxy S26 lineup is expected to deliver another performance bump thanks to a new processor, likely a Qualcomm Snapdragon for Galaxy, while sticking fairly close to the design language of the current Galaxy S25, 25 Plus, and 25 Ultra. One rumored feature that stands out, though, is a new privacy mode for the Galaxy S26 Ultra, and I've shown you that in previous weeks, which will allow users to toggle display privacy on and off instantly. It's a small touch, but one that could be especially useful when viewing sensitive information in public. Either way, we're only a few weeks out from the Samsung, well, now a week and a half, from Samsung's February 25th, 2026 Galaxy Unpacked event, and Tech Radar will be on the ground, breaking down everything unveiled or unpacked as it happens. Let us know if you're planning to pick up the Galaxy S26 or what you think of the invite in the comments below. So at least we know when we're going to see them, and we don't have that long to wait. Oh, the website for the Galaxy Unpacked is the Tech Radar website. Now, the website that has all these stories is my website, which is mobilegeezer.com. And as I always say, go to mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, click on today's date, you'll get just tonight's show notes. So that's that way you can follow along to each one of these websites too as I go through the stories. Okay. So now we've got a very pushy T-Mobile. And like I told you, Ellen and I have been with T-Mobile somewhere 12 or 13 years at this point. And there's Brian. Glad you're here, sir. Generous as always. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. I just said, seems T-Mobile wants store reps to be a lot more pushy. I just happened across this story, and I just thought it was interesting. I love T-Mobile as a customer. I'm glad I don't work for them. So, reps, this was on Phone Arena. Reps working at T-Mobile store get written up by manager for wasting opportunities. A T-Mobile rep shared a message his store received from an upset manager, written by Alan Friedman on February 12th, or 2 days ago. Let's drop into read review, get rid of the ads. And this is pushy from the manager who's upset. T-Mobile must be doing something right. Even though it didn't top Wall Street estimates, it still reported 962,000 net new postpaid phone lines added for the fourth quarter of 2025. That's pretty good. For all of 2025, that category showed 3.29 million net new postpaid phone additions. Again, pretty good. But some T-Mobile employees are not happy at all with the Un-carrier. For example, take Reddit subscriber All That Bosch, a T-Mobile rep who shared a message that his manager sent to the sales team at the T-Mobile store he works at. T-Mobile reps want you to apply for a new credit card, and that's what this is all about. Before we get to the message and what it said, you might recall that T-Mobile reps are given certain metrics that they must meet and preferably meet every month. These include sales of accessories, P360 insurance, screen protectors, chargers, new lines, and more. They got a lot of pressure on them, I think. Back in December, we told you that T-Mobile had added a new product to the list that its reps must flog to customers making a purchase or just browsing inside a T-Mobile store. That product is the still relatively new T-Mobile Capital One Visa credit card. Now that I've given you a bit more background, let's talk about the message that the T-Mobile rep and other employees received from the store manager. It said that even though the sales crew at the store each had multiple interactions with customers labeled as priority in T-Mobile's computer system, over the past 60 days, only one person on the team was able to get a priority customer to apply for a card. The message reminds the store's reps to be diligent in identifying priority customers and getting management involved. Now, that says it, but here's what was actually sent to them, and I think it's way more pushy than that paragraph. Good morning, team. Due to us as a team not producing in Visa, we need to adjust. I know I asked for an action plan by Saturday, but if you do not produce, get this, a priority Visa by the end of your next shift, you will need to submit an action plan before you leave for that day. In other words, if you don't get somebody to apply for a credit card, you're going to have to put in writing why you didn't, which I think is pretty awful. Please be diligent in identifying priority customers and getting management involved. This is not a good look for the store, having one person on the team to be the only person in 60 days with a priority Visa, and everyone has had multiple interactions with priority customers. That's a lot of pressure. The worst thing a T-Mobile rep can do. The Redditor who works at this T-Mobile store and shared the message added that his store is being written up for not selling a Visa card, which is crazy. I agree when you consider that the store is supposed to concentrate on selling phones, other mobile devices, and wireless plans. By the way, to be clear, a priority customer is one whose personal data and spending history, as tracked by T-Mobile, determines that uh, he would be likely to apply for the card. So, in other words, the employee couldn't know that unless they were looking at something in the system from T-Mobile. Besides getting credit from management for getting a customer to apply for the card, reps get $10 for each customer considered marketable by T-Mobile who applies, plus the $25 SPIF Sales Performance Incentive Fund. The latter is an immediate cash bonus paid to reps and is used to get them to push a certain product to customers. The worst thing a rep can do is not notice that a priority customer is in the store or miss asking him to apply to the card. So I would think when it comes up in the system, it must flash in red or have some color behind it so the employee would see it. So I'm sure they make it easy for the employee to see that. Both would be considered a wasted opportunity. So it seems to me they want these employees to be awfully pushy. And if I'm in a store as a customer, I would just find some of that a little bit too pushy. That's just me, though. Let's see. Look at the comments. Rico, do you think iPhone 4 will come out in September? I'm thinking it probably will. I'm also thinking I'm not going to be able to afford it. But if I know Apple, I'm going to guess that thing's going to cost about about $3,000. But I'm just guessing. But yeah, I would think September would be about right. But yeah, there's lots of excitement about the Fold, and I've got a story coming up about maybe a flip also. But that will be in 2 more stories. So moving on, I just said Johnny Ive may have moved from Apple to work with OpenAI, but he'll still have to deal with a delayed product. But this time it's his. I should have said it's his product. So I found this on Phone Arena. He can't seem to get away from delayed products. OpenAI's secret gadget is getting delayed until next year. The partnership between OpenAI and Johnny Ive was supposed to result in a device launch later in 2026. Yeah, we've been hearing about that most of last year. By Ilya Temelkov. And this was 4 days ago on February 10th. So let's drop this into review. Get rid of these ads. We've already seen a few devices fully focused on AI features such as the Human AI Pen, and the Rabbit R1, and both were terrible failures, which were far from successful. Rumor has it that Apple is also willing to try launching an AI-powered smart pen. First I've heard that. And virtually every smartphone maker is boasting about AI features, but the leading AI company is yet to join the hardware market. OpenAI won't launch the teased Johnny Ive designed AI gadget before 2027. The collaboration between Apple's ex-chief design officer and OpenAI won't lead to a device release until 2027, according to a court filing reported by Wired. So this delay is based on some kind of suit. Peter Welander, vice president and general manager of OpenAI, said in the filing that the company won't ship its first hardware device to customers before the end of February 2027. The court filing is related to a trademark infringement lawsuit filed by audio device startup IYO, which sued OpenAI after the acquisition of Johnny Ive startup IO. His name is IO, and I guess it's too close. In the filing, Welander said that OpenAI decided not to use the name IO, or any capitalization of either for its products. I guess it was enough to delay them another year. Still a mystery. OpenAI says it hasn't created any marketing materials or packaging for it. The company hasn't shared any specifics about what the device could be, but it's unlikely to be an in-ear gadget or a wearable. Meanwhile, the rumors about the gadget are running wild. Over the weekend, a viral Reddit thread claimed that OpenAI pulled a Super Bowl ad revealing the device. That's not true. The thread included what was supposed to be the pulled ad featuring actor Alexander Skarsgård wearing a pair of earbuds and tapping a futuristic puck. OpenAI President Gary Brockman and the company's spokesman Lindsay McCollum Remy said the ad was fake. OpenAI first announced it wanted to create a full family of AI devices. I didn't know it was a whole family. When it acquired Johnny Ive's consumer hardware startup in a $6.5 billion deal in May 2025. Since then, the company has been teasing the device but hasn't shared anything specific about it. Let it come. Pardon me. Considering the utility of smartphones, it's hard for me to imagine what sort of device would feel useful enough to push them away from our lives. I agree 100%. Even looking through the most rose-tinted glasses, I struggle to understand why I would add another device that is likely to do stuff my phone should be capable of doing. I'm open to being proven wrong, though, and would love to see OpenAI's gadget. So we won't be seeing it for at least another year. So more delays on more products. Let's see. Let me go back here if I can. Yeah, Brian said that the Fold is going to be ridiculously expensive. Yep. And he said, I'd sell my lung for it. Okay. Somebody's going to love the Fold, obviously. Okay. I've got one more story, and let me get one more swig of my Coke. And I usually try to remember to show you guys what phones I carry today. I did show you the iPhone 17, which was my secondary. My primary phone today was my Galaxy Z Flip 7 FE. So that had my primary SIM. Okay, one more story left. So maybe you get excited about the Flip too. Apple considering a flip phone in addition to the iPhone Fold. Don't hold your breath, though. This is a way out, according to the story. So let's go take a look. This is on Phone Arena again. New report says Apple might be planning a clamshell flip phone. The lab is reportedly working on a compact square iPhone, which would be, it would have to end up looking like this, because they all kind of look alike in that regard. This was written by Joanna Romero, one of their terrific writers. This is from February 1st. This is the first time I had a chance to put it up, though. So into reader view we go. Apple is reportedly working on a smaller foldable concept that is shaped like a clamshell. Although the high-end foldable iPhone is still a long way off, this square-shaped foldable concept is a clear indicator that Apple is thinking about a future where foldable screens can take any shape and any size. And I got a comment here. Let's see if I can pull it up. He said the pressure carrier stores put on, I'm just talking about the other story, employees, including managers, to meet sales promo quotas is ridiculous. Plus, incentivizing, let's see what, almost lost it. Incentivizing commissions based on brand model and not what's best for the customer. Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's terrible. Yep, I totally agree. All right, back to the story. A new folding form is taking shape. According to a fresh report by Mark Gurman, Apple is reportedly thinking about a clamshell foldable iPhone that is quite similar to those popular flip phones, like I just showed you, that many top Android brands offer. It is expected that this foldable iPhone would fold into a square shape, making it much easier to carry around in a pocket or a bag compared to those larger phones that Apple currently offers. While Apple's first foldable iPhone is expected to be a high-end product that is expected to represent the best that Apple can offer, the second foldable phone, iPhone, is a clear indicator that Apple is thinking about different types of foldables. They can take different shapes and offer different price points. Why a smaller folding phone could make sense. The mobile tech world seems to have two different categories when it comes to folding screens: the phone to tablet oversized option and the compact clamshell option. Yeah, I have my clamshell option with me. Most of you know my big folding phone is the One Plus Open, which I still love very much, and I haven't had any need to replace it. Apple, with its clamshell option, would be providing its customers with choices, much like the current options for the iPhone 17 and 17 Pro sizes. For many, the clamshell design is a matter of convenience, very much so. Taking the big screen we love for scrolling and making it half its current size so it doesn't feel like a brick in your pocket. If the first foldable is a success, then the market for different sizes is sure to follow. Apple is several generations behind the competition, and it's essential for them to prove to the world that variety is also something they can offer. A peek at the Pocket's future. It's really exciting to see that there are various things going on behind the scenes at Apple to bring us something new and different. If you're like me and have found the current smartphone sizes to be too big to handle, I don't find them too big to handle, but I'm 6'3" and I've got kind of big hands, then maybe Apple's clamshell iPhone is the solution for you. That said, while I'm definitely in favor of Apple making a clamshell phone, I do believe the 5.5-inch screen is a bit too small. And yeah, I just happened to give you guys the Samsung S9 that I got back this weekend. Yeah, that's a 5-inch phone, so it is awfully small. So then maybe Apple's clamshell iPhone is the solution for you. That said, oh yeah, I do believe the 5.5-inch screen is a bit too small, but we'll have to see once it's released. There's no set release date for this clamshell foldable, although earlier rumors said it might be slated for 2028. So you got a while to wait. Rico was asking me, do I know about the... Now, this story that I had before was the first I even heard about an AI pin from Apple, so that kind of surprised me. It seems like everybody's going to try to make one, even though we've had two big failures already. All right, back to the article. Regardless, a clamshell iPhone is something I think many of us would enjoy, I agree, as it will give us the joy of flipping a phone shut to end the call. I enjoy that tremendously, like Flossie does. Something we haven't had in the iPhone world and that Android has had for a long time. So maybe they'll be making a flip phone, but we're talking a number of years before we see it. So those are the stories I've got for tonight. I told you it'd be a short night since I'm by myself. This is where I always open up to allow you guys to say anything you want or continue any conversation you want. If you do want to continue a conversation, please feel free to do so in the comments now. Other than that, then I will prepare us for next week. And let's keep in mind, next week we go back to Friday. Friday Night Tech Talk will be on Friday, as it hasn't been for the last 2 weeks. So, if that's it, I hope everybody has had a wonderful Valentine's Day. And I hope everybody has a very blessed week. And, Rico is saying, Apple versus Samsung, who wins? Well, up to now, it's always been Apple wins in the United States, Samsung wins around the world. But as I gave you a story 2 weeks ago, I think it was, Apple finally is outselling Samsung even outside the United States. So right now, I think the winner is probably Apple. So, all right, guys, we will see you next Friday night back at our normal time at 8 o'clock Eastern. Maybe we'll be blessed enough to have Ted or Will join us. So hope everybody has a very blessed week, and I will see you all next Friday. Good night, folks.